Hello students, and yep, we're finally about to start programming, so let me just show you what it will wind up looking like by the end, and then afterwards we'll go through and we'll actually do the program. So, don't worry, this program right here, this is called idle. You do not have this on your computers, don't worry. I'm just using that because I don't want to have you see the code while I'm actually, so if I just do a run module, and there it goes, and that's what it looks like. I just have my name, I have a couple of sentences, and then it says this over and over and over and over and over and over again. So, when we get through this, that'll be what we have. We'll just wind up doing that. So, with that being said, let me just close this little shell here, and let me move into our good friend JDoodle. Oh, let me resize it to fit the little screen there. So, we have here is we have our sample code that already pops in. It's a Python 3 code, obviously, so when you're on JDoodle, please select the Python 3 option. And we have right up here is where we would wind up inputting something. And then, of course, we hit the execute button, and the output will come out right down there. So, let's just start making the code. So, you'll already see the word print right here and whatnot, but let's just delete everything. The first thing we're going to literally do is we're just going to print our name. So I'll just put my name right here, and I'll hit execute. Now you'll notice it wasn't as color-coded as the other ones were, was it? When I hit execute, it's going to tell me invalid syntax. It doesn't understand this at all. Do you want to know why it doesn't understand this? I never told it what any of this is. Is David a variable? Is Monticchio a string? What is this? It's looking for like an equals or something. It doesn't know what I'm trying to say. So, print statements are essentially anything that will wind up printing out down here as a string. What is a string? A string is just a series of commands on a keyboard, a series of keystrokes. All of that can be a string if I really wanted it to. But we need to put it in the right format for the computer to understand. So let's just simply start with the word print. Now you notice it was black, and now when I hit the T, it turned purple. It has now changed color. It is flat out telling me it understands this word, print. It knows what it's trying to say. So, and I will print whatever is inside these parentheses. Whatever you start, you must finish. If you have a left parentheses, you must have a right parentheses. Whoops, let me do that. So, if I were to do this and say print David Monticchio, it's not going to understand it. Why? Because I don't have the closing parentheses. So I'll even show that with a number. So if I'll just say print 2, execute. It doesn't understand. Unexpected EOF while parsing. It has to have that parentheses closed. Beginning, ending. Whatever you start, you must finish. So now when I hit execute, now it will literally print the number 2. But if I try to put my name in here, and now I try to hit execute, it's going to still give me an error. Well, why did a number work, but words didn't? Well, because the way coding works, it's expecting these words to be functions. It is expecting these to be a code, like before. It's expecting it to be like, David equals 5. And then when I do that, it'll then print out 5. It's expecting something like that. It is expecting this to be a code word. It doesn't read it as a sentence. So, if I really want my name to physically be printed out, not only do I need the parentheses, I need, and you see how it turned red? Quotation marks. Now you'll notice whatever is inside the quotes is red. If I remove this one right there, this parentheses is also red because it's reading it as part of a string, not as the closing bracket. So make sure you have your parentheses outside of your quotations here. So once again, whatever you start, there is the start of the string, you must end. There's the end of the string. So from this quote to this quote, is a string. From this parentheses to this parentheses is what's going to get printed. And now I will execute this, and I have successfully printed a string. So I could do all sorts of stuff, but what happens if I want to have a note? What if I want to just let people know, hey, this is a print statement? Example. Okay? You're seeing the word is and print. These are actual functions of the computer. So how do I just make a note to myself and not get this error? Because obviously it's getting an error. It's going, wait, I don't understand what's happening here. Line 3, we had an invalid syntax. So what happens if you just want to make a note for someone or for yourself without the computer actually reading it? Okay? Well, because obviously 3 lines of code, we could figure out what's happening there. But 300, 3,000, there's a lot of lines of codes that you can have. Well, if you don't want something to be seen, just put a hashtag right in front of it. And you see how it all turned green? Everything that is in that green line will be skipped by a computer. So if I hit execute, you'll notice it says my name, and then it completely skipped that line. It's not there at all. The computer read it and said, oh, I'm not supposed to print that. So that is what's known as a comment. Whoops, there we go. That's what's known as a comment. So a comment starts with a hashtag slash, number symbol. Whatever you want to call it. And of course, they, helps when I can type, are skipped by a computer. So, you can make little notes to yourself like that, and I recommend you get in the you get in the habit of commenting things, because eventually you'll get some pretty long codes, and you're going to want to make sure that they are commented, so that you don't fall behind and get lost in your own code. So that's one print statement. So let's just go with the next part and say, at this point, this is where I'm going to teach you how to do multiple strings together. Okay? So you could do something like this where you say like print, hello, and then you also do print, world. You could always do something like that all you want. And once you hit execute, it'll keep printing and printing and printing and printing. But what if I wanted to have something that was actually kind of, multiple sentences together? Well, you can always put as many different things as you want inside a string. I mean, you could just have blah, 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 and keep going. But there are going to be situations where doing something like this, with one line, probably not the best case scenario to do this. Because there might have to be a number in between. And as much as you want it to try it, trust me, trying to mix integers and strings together in the same line will get complex. And you will see that in future weeks, so just put a little feather in that and just remind yourself of that later on. So, but what if I want to put multiple strings together instead of having them space out like they were doing? Well, I can just do print, and I can just say, like, whatever I want to say, and like, okay, I have a master's degree. Okay, and that's, my first thing. And then I'll just simply put a comma. And that comma is going to separate the first string from the next string. And then, of course, also be wary of whenever the program wants to auto make a second thing for you. Just be aware of that, because if you try it again, it's not going to work. But, and I'll just say, I am also a pro wrestler. Now, obviously, you're going to be putting sentences about yourself in this, not about me. But now I have print, and I'm going to start what I have to print. Start of a string. There's one string. There's the end of it. And then this comma is essentially add. Add a second string on top of it. There's its start, there's its end, and there's the end of the print statement. So I'm saying go to this plus do this. Now when I hit execute, it'll say, I am Dave Monticchio, I have a master's degree, I'm also a professional wrestler, and of course, because I've, shrunken this size so far down to actually fit the QuickTime, instead of having, stretched it all out, it's kind of over the edge, but that's okay. That's okay, this is just an example. So, that's how you would print multiple things. And of course, I could even do something like this later on, where if I want to do like 5, comma, and as long as I have a comma there, I can separate the numbers from the integers. The numbers from the strings, the integers from the strings. We will go into integers later, but you see I have a master's degree, 5, I'm also a pro wrestler. You can keep adding as much as you want, as long as you keep adding commas in between the points. So, then the last thing we need is, here's where we're going to print something 10 times. How to print something 10 times. So, obviously, we could do it something like this, where we could just do print, I like games. And then I could just copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. But that's not really too much fun, is it? That's a lot of lines of code to do something so simple, when really all you need to do is multiply by 10. And the multiplication symbol is the star. It is not a little tiny x. So now if I hit execute, and it says, I like games, I like games, I like games, I like games, and if I were to, zoom out of this, and if I were to shift zoom, is it this one? Yeah, there we go. So if I were to zoom out of it like that, now you'll be able to see it can stretch out all the way across like that, and we've got it. So it did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, which is what I told it to do. Now, of course, I'm just going to zoom back in for, these videos, just so everyone can see it easily without having to go into maximize mode. But yeah. And once that's all done, if you've got it all working, you put something that you like, and then, multiply it by 10, you've got 2 sentences put together with the comma, and you put your name in, just go make sure that everything on the rubric is exactly as it needs to be. So you can just go, and once you sign in, you can save it, and you can export it. Or you can just simply go and copy and paste everything. Make sure you have everything copy and pasted. You might need to just do Command All or Control All, depending on what operating system you are on. And you can just right-click and copy. Go into Microsoft Word and paste it in. Then you can just paste the Word document. You can save the Word document and send the Word document up through the submission process in the university. And we can just do it that way. Either way, even if you want to actually save the program, I recommend you do save the program on your account, though, because you're going to be needing the lessons that you learn in these mini projects to complete the big projects. So save it, export it, submit the Word document that you exported it to right through Moodle, and we'll be good. So thank you very much. Have a great day. That's mini project 1 for this week of strings.